Hello, this is Ralph Medici from JTV. We have a special guest in studio with us here tonight. His name is George LaCross, and he is a dock ride enthusiast and editor of laughinthedock.com. And this is his second time on the show. And George, bring us up to speed on what happened the first time you were on the show.
Well, we got a lot of good response. For a lot of people emailed into us. We had talked a little bit about Rocky Point and the House of Horrors that was at Rocky Point, and we got quite a few people emailing into the site and commenting about it, and they had seen it, and got some information about it, which was interesting. Still looking for a little bit more on it, which I'll talk about later, but we got a lot of positive response. It's amazing how many people watched the show and saw this particular program and responded to it. Very, very happy with it.
Great. For the people who didn't see the show, can you just bring us up to speed on what you do as the editor of laughinthedock.com and how you get started?
Yeah, it's a website, www.laughinthedock.com, dedicated to dock rides and fun houses. For those of you who don't know what dock rides are, it's a situation where you ride into a building in a car on a single rail track. And a fun house is one that you'll walk through. And we profile these throughout the country, and we have about 60 stories on our website. We've been online for 6 years now. And we tend to profile the more traditional types of dock rides and fun houses, not the ones you'd find at Disneyland or Disney World or those types of parks, but the ones you find at your traditional small amusement parks.
Mm-hmm. Now, how'd you get started in this?
Well, actually, my love affair with these rides began at age 3 at the former Pleasant Park, which a lot of your readers might remember, in the Riverside section of East Providence. When I was 3 years old, I first rode a pretzel dock ride, which was the leading manufacturer of dock rides back then, and I've been hooked ever since. Anytime I've ever been to an amusement park, the first ride I always go to would be a dock ride at the fun house.
Okay. Now, what's in store for us today?
Well, we have some still pictures of some of the things that we've done recently, and I just wanted to, like for instance here, we give out an award. It's a preservation award to amusement park owners or ride owners that keep a dock ride or fun house preserved to the way it was actually originally installed, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In that particular slide you see there, the person to that gentleman's left is Bill Luca, who's our creative director, and that's me on the other side. The person who we gave the award to was Granville Trimper, Trimper's Rides and Amusements down in Ocean City, Maryland, for preserving a fun house and a dock ride. Here's the award here, which Bill Luca designed. It's a replica of a pretzel dock ride car. You can see the pretzel logo on it, and Bill designed that. Yep. And that's the award that we give out. We try to give one out on a yearly basis to a deserving, again, park owner or ride owner who keeps a ride around for a long time and keeps it preserved in the way it was originally installed for people to enjoy.
That's great. What are we looking at right here? That kind of looks familiar.
Yeah, it should. This is the House of Horrors, which originally debuted as Castle of Terror at Rocky Point in 1963. This picture was taken during, I believe, around when the park was auctioned off in 1995, so it looks a little worse for the wear there. But this, as we alluded to in the last show, is a famous ride. Had a fantastic facade, as you saw there, and it was designed by the famous dock ride artist Bill Tracy in New Jersey, and he came in and used just about every single stunt, which is the industry name for figures, okay, right, that he had in his catalog, and it was quite the ride. It's just a shame the park closed, and that ride is just sitting there deteriorating right now.
Okay. What are we looking at right here?
That would be the homepage for our website, laughinthedock.com.
Okay.
You see one of our more recent stories there is in the middle, and we have all these icons you can click on, but again, right now we're close to 60 stories, and we've been online for 6 years now.
That's great. That's great. Do we have any more slides there? Do we have a couple more? Or okay.
This is Bill Luca and myself at work in the torture chamber at that Trimper's haunted house, the guy that we gave the award to. This is his ride. And this, if you look at this, if people might remember, Rocky Point House of Horrors had a similar torture scene like this, with the guy getting stretched out in the rack and the girl shackled in the back there. And so we wanted to have our picture taken. And again, that's Mr. Trimper, who owns the park, and he's sending his family for years, so he was a worthy recipient. Here's what I was talking about earlier. This is what one of the ride cars from the Castle of Terror, House of Horrors. It's fallen off of its the lift. If you remember the lift that would lift the car up and go down? We're trying to find out who designed those cars and who designed the track and stuff. That's one of the mysteries that we're trying. So if any of your viewers have any information about this ride, we'd certainly be interested in knowing about it. I know every single stunt that was in there. It's just, but the track system and the cars who designed the cars is a real mystery to us right now. So
now, what is the best way to get in contact with you?
Just go onto the website, and there's a contact us icon. Just click that on, and we check our email every day, and we'll get right back to you. So please do, if you have any information, any stories about this ride. We'd be more than glad to read about it, and we are writing a story on it.
Great. Now that is laughinthedark.com?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Now you also have a video for us?
Yeah.
What are we looking at right here?
Okay, that's an old mill ride at which is actually a ride where you ride in on a boat. Before there were dock ride cars, there were old mills or tunnels of love. You ride into a building on a boat, okay? And this is one that is the oldest existing old mill. Some people call them tunnels of love, okay? Built in 1929.
Now, where's this one?
Playland Park in Rye, New York. It's only about 2.5 hours away. You can see they have a thunder and lightning storm in there and so forth. So this goes way back. They've added some new high-tech effects to it, but it's the same scene that was originally from 1929, rather. Here's one now from a more up-to-date ride from that was just installed last year at Wildwood, New Jersey, on Maurice Pier. This is the outside of it. It's called the Pirates of Wildwood. It's kind of a takeoff on the Pirates of the Caribbean, more or less. And this is unusual because it's using still pictures for the most part. Now, those are all illustrations you're seeing there. You wear a pair of 3D glasses and you ride this ride. Okay, again, it's on a boat, on a moving. You can see the moving channel there. You're going through tunnels and so forth. But when you're riding, you're wearing 3D glasses, and you're seeing all this in 3D. Like all these illustrations are jumping out at you. It's an effect from called chroma depth. Okay, where during the 3D glasses, it brings all the reds in the pictures forward, where the blues recede, and all the other colors pretty much stay in the spectrum, the original spectrum. But like that fish, for instance, it looked like it was right in front of your face when you're riding it.
Now, why would someone have water as opposed to the rail as a ride?
Well, just to have like an added dimension. Before the single rail dock ride was invented in 1928, and it was actually first installed in 1929. This is what we had for dock rides. There were old mills. Okay, there were rides where you're riding on a boat. So people still build them. Just to have an added dimension to their park, something different from a single rail dock ride. Okay. And the idea that the dock ride was actually built because they were trying to find a cheaper way to bring people through a dock building as opposed to water, because these are relatively expensive to install because you have to keep filling it up with water and having the water moving all the time. So this is interesting insofar that it's not really interactive. We'll talk a little bit more interactive rides later, but it feels that way because everything is right on top of you.
Sure.
And this is the theme on this one is these phantom pirates invade Wildwood and take over the tram on the boardwalk and, fight the tourists and so forth. And that's a relatively short ride, but it's been very successful down there. They were early in the morning before the park opened, but, free ride through there. But it's drawing quite the crowd, especially with the 3D novelty. Wow.
How many times would you ride a ride?
Well, we read through. Plus, we walked through it along the side to take pictures. Now, this is an older ride. They put these animated figures out in front, okay, talking parrots. But this is Shrimpers in Ocean City, Maryland. This is the guy we gave the award to. This is one of the rides that he deserves. This ride goes back to 1970. This is an old-fashioned walk-through funhouse, okay, which you don't see too many of anymore because of insurance regulations. People are afraid to have, people walking through things with obstacles. Now, it's called Pirates Cove. Again, I was there early in the morning. Bill and I were there early in the morning, presented him the award, and I just took my camcorder and walked through it. There's the award, there's us earlier presenting the award. Again, there's a lot of obstacles in this thing. Like, for instance, you walk over a drawbridge. Now, on this boat on the outside of it, you haven't even got inside yet. You go across this boat, and when you go over to the other side of it, it shifts right over and sends you, like, over to the other side of it, like a ship on the high seas, basically. I don't know how he manages to keep this thing insured. I mean, it's not dangerous or anything, but nowadays we're in such a litigious society.
Sure.
It's amazing. Again, Bill Tracy, the famous dock ride designer, designed this. Now, see these moving planks, alternating planks? You can imagine how difficult it is to walk across these things, okay? You can take a Party Cooper's Lane off to your right if you want, okay? But for the most part, the last one I can remember in this area was at Crescent Park, where they had a Western theme fun house, and they had these alternating planks on the top. And after you leave that, you go into the darkness. Again, these very narrow passageways. You really can't see where you're going. There is black lighting up on top, screened in, so you're kind of like feeling your way around. This is an illustration, but it gives you a force perspective that you feel that it just goes on forever. And as you keep walking down, finally you realize at the very end there, what you're looking at is just an illustration and not, a continuation. Here's a shot captured in a fishing net that you can see the detail of that. Designed by Bill Tracy, again, who used to be design the floats to Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade before you get into the dock ride industry. This is a kind of a maze. You look up to see the old disco ball up on top there? Okay, and they got the light reflecting on it. Now you have railings there to hold on to, but trust me when I tell you this thing is very disorienting when you're walking through. You can get the idea. I'm trying to walk through with a camcorder, but between that and the sound effects and so forth, it's completely disorienting. I haven't seen one of these. This is the only place I know of that has one of these things. Again, I guess you have to be careful when you're navigating it, and I'm sure that goes through people's minds, whether to install something like this. This is a tilted room. So this whole room is tilted to one side. So again, you got to hang on to these railings to keep your balance. Okay, as you're going through. This is supposed to be the ship's gallery. And we'll see a pirate in a second that had a little bit too much to drink. So I suppose to him the room seems straight, but there he is there. He's in the wine cellar. But it's a very disorienting thing. It used to be a common room in all the fun houses. In fact, Lincoln Park used to have one a long time ago. They closed theirs down like in early 1970s. But it's something that you don't see hardly anything of today. This is, if you look very closely, a vortex type of scenario where you have a barrel that's spinning. You can see how it's lined. If you're walking through this thing, you cannot walk straight. You can see how I'm going from side to side, and you're bumping into these padded bars here. Because you feel like the barrel is making you feel like you're tilted over. You're right in the middle of the barrel. There's a pirate skeleton. Again, there's a soundtrack that plays through this whole thing as you're riding through it. Here's a skull and a waterfall. Just about every single dock ride of funhouse that Bill Tracy had that skull in there. In fact, the Castle of Terror, House of Horrors at Rocky Point had one too. This stunt's a little bit difficult to see. But you see how they have the ropes? I have a light on that. You can't see those ropes when you're walking through it. So as you come forward, you just like these ropes will brush up against you. Again, with the light, I can see what's coming in front of me. This part here is actually what you call quicksand. And I can't really get a good picture of it, but you can see how I'm kind of like jostling around a little bit because the floor is actually a pad, okay? Again, these are things you're not going to find in too many parks.
Yep, okay.
There's a pirate that's stuck in the quicksand. This is a pirate at, on the high seas. He's trying to navigate a ship, I guess. It's a ghost ship. Again, if you look at the detail from Bill Tracy, it's amazing how he sculpted these figures. This is called the Swamp Ghost figure. Okay, that flies overhead. And you see the alligator. If those of you who remember the riverboat dock right at Crescent Park, they had an alligator figure just like this. It opens and closes its jaws. Okay. So it gives you, again, some fun houses, the older fun houses had no figures in it. It was strictly just strips, you know. But this one is the added benefit of having both strips and figures in it, which makes it a lot more enjoyable experience. This is worked by a rotary cam, and you can see in a second, you see how the cam figure, they're up on top there. It's kind of hidden from view, but I know how to find these things. This is a pirate hiding in the barrel. I guess he's hiding from the swamp ghost. Now here we go into the brig, which is like a jail. Okay, it's got the flashing strobe light, and it's all bars there. Okay, so you're going through all these different. It's almost, again, it's like a maze. Okay, unfortunately, I have the strobe light that I can find it. But can you imagine with just like very subtle lighting up on top, how difficult it is to navigate your way through something like this? Which is why you won't find. Again, I keep saying it, but you won't find this thing. Find things like this at mazes, and probably in a park, you know. A lot of fun. It's a lot of fun trying to find your way out of one of these things. You have to feel around and, you know, navigate and so forth. And the sound and the light disorient you as you're going. So that's this is called a shaker board. This is the final thing. That whole board vibrates at the very end, and that lets the ride operator know too that we're coming at it.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. What I want to do is just remind the viewers out there that we are talking to George LaCross. He is the dock ride enthusiast and editor of LaughInTheDock.com, and he just brought us to a couple of dock rides right there and brought us back to some history of Rocky Point and a few other shops. Now, can you just bring us up to speed on some projects that you're going to be going on in next year?
Yeah, we can. Actually, we're going to give the award this year. Our preservation award goes to the Spookorama dock ride at Coney Island, which is about 3.5 hours from here in Brooklyn. It celebrates its 50th anniversary this year, so we're going to be giving the award out in May to the owner of the ride. They're going to have an award ceremony. He's invited the press and so forth down there, so it should be a lot of fun. So we're going to be doing that for our, and also going to have an article about the award ceremony too. So that's coming up soon. Again, I hate to repeat myself, but we do have a partial article written on Rocky Point, and I'd love, since, you know, for all your Alan listeners, I'd love to get some more information on that ride. That's one of our next projects, and we're going to launch it regardless if we get the information or not. But if anyone out there has any info on it or any pictures or anything, please share it with us.
Great. Well, hopefully the viewers out there will cooperate with us and contact George through LaughInTheDock.com. And it is a lot of fun, so please go check it out. And we look forward to more updates from you, George, and bring us up to speed on, you know, what's the award that you're giving out. I'm sure you're going to have some tapes. You want to go over this now, too?
Yeah.
You want to touch base on this?
This is actually close by. This is at Lake Compound from Bristol, Connecticut. You know, people don't know about this park. It's a nice park, and it's not that expensive. And this is called the Ghost Hunt. This is a relatively new ride, actually installed in 1999. Now, this is an interactive game. Actually, I shouldn't say game. It's an interactive dock ride. It's kind of like a game where you actually shoot at targets. And here we are. I'm on it with my son. We're actually proceeding into it right now. You shoot using infrared, you know, things. You shoot the little circles there, okay, and it makes the figures. It animates the figures. And you're actually on your car. You actually see a digital tally of your of how many points you've actually scored as you're going by. You can see it right there, just in the corner there. So it's interesting because as you shoot these things, they make sounds. The sound effects come out and they move and so forth. And you go from one ring to the other. It's kind of based along the same theme line as the Haunted Mansion at Disney World. So this is the new wave of dock rides, the new stuff. We have a small story on our site about this, okay, but they, this is something that people are trying to get into now to compete with the video realm and so forth. It's going to give people more, say, face time with the effects.
Right.
Right, but by shooting at them or by, again, seeing them in 3D or whatever, you know. Myself and Bill, we prefer the traditional type of thing where you have paper mache or fiberglass figures and sound effects and so forth. But this is the newer ones that are being installed are more like this. You know, they try to give people a little more interaction with them and so forth, you know. So we give time to both of them. You know, we don't do the theme park rides, but this one is a traditional park, you know, in Connecticut, and it's a nice place if people want to go visit. It's only about an hour and a half away, and it's just outside of Hartford in Bristol, Connecticut, not far from ESPN studios, actually.
Okay. We have more video here
Yes.
coming on?
Yep.
Okay. We're going over.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Again, this is that ride. You can. It's interesting because it's something that it's never been done before. I mean, they just introduced this in 1999, actually, and I think it's a good ride for people, like for younger kids too, that have fear of dark rides. You know, they had never been in one, say, before their first ride, because you can shoot at the things. It's well lit. Nothing really pops out at you or anything like that, like the older stuff. So you can just like shoot away and tally up a score. You see, it's in the very end, you have like a bomb scene here, where a bomb goes off. So it's fun for the young kids. Again, our preferences are the traditional style, but I figured that I could show this to the viewers, given the fact that it's so close by, and I don't think a lot of people know about this park. You know? It's a fun park. They get 2 roller coasters there, and a lot of kiddie rides and rides for people of all ages there. This, now going from a newer thing to an older, this is actually the oldest operating dock ride that we know of. This is the Spook House at Keensburg Park in New Jersey, and it's a pretzel ride. It's the oldest operating pretzel, obviously, oldest operating dock ride, built in 1931. See how that effect works, that stunt works? I'm actually stepping on a lever, and it makes this devil's head pop up. That's how they used to do it in the old days, before they had, a lot of good mechanical know-how, you know. Here's an alligator coming out of a barrel. You see, yeah, again, I step on it, and it pops out. And the weight of the car, as we'll see when we actually ride through it, will actually animate those 2 figures.
Right.
I'm stepping on it as I'm walking through it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get an idea. It's a pretty old ride by looking at the way looking at the building and so forth. And it's a short ride.
Now, where's this located?
Keensburg Amusement Park in Keensburg, New Jersey. It's on the Jersey Shore.
Okay.
Yeah. It uses like the first wave of model cars that the Tesla designed. Here we go through it. Now, this twine rubs up against the face. Again, with the light on it, you don't see it. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, you feel like it's brushing up against you. Notice how many twists and turns this thing makes. It's just insane. I mean, it just goes from one side of the building to the next and makes all these sharp turns. This is something that Pretzel was famous for. In fact, they get their name, Pretzel, because the ride's almost like a pretzel. The track is almost like a pretzel. With the strobe light on the thing, you don't get to feel that feel of darkness that much, you know. But I mean, especially when I tell you this, with the lights off and just black light on, this thing is like it's very, very disorienting. It's a good ride. It's a good ride. So it's a short ride. It's a good ride, and we profiled it on our site. We gave it certified dock ride status, which is a little honor we bestow on the older rides.
Mm-hmm. So what else can you tell us about the dock rides?
Well, they're installing, they're not installing as many of them as I'd like to see. It seems like most parks are going with roller coasters now. You know, they try to be the highest and the fastest roller coasters around, go upside down all which ways and stuff. You know, the Sally Corporation is installing some. Distortions Unlimited recently did one from out of Colorado. But we're not seeing as many as we'd like. You know, this is why through the site we're hoping not only will the park owners keep the ones they have, okay, but also install new ones. You know, but we'd like to see them do the traditional style dock ride. You know, with darkness, things popping out at you. You know what I'm saying? Not so much the 3D and the interactive type of scenario, but you know, it's just great to see just great to see them actually install them. You know, so we're pretty happy to see some being installed. There's a lot of other parks we'd like to get to that still have older dock rides, and as time goes on, we're going to have to do some trad ones, but we hope to get to them and put them up on our site.
That's great, George. So we'll have to check out your site, and hopefully the people out there, again, will respond with any of the House of Horrors from Rocky Point, and contact George, and just give us an update, and hopefully we'll get a great response like you did last time.
Hope so. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you having me on. I really enjoy it, and I got great reactions from people, as I said last time, so hopefully this will do the same.
I'm sure it will. George, thanks for being on again.
Thanks, my
We
pleasure.
appreciate it. Back to you guys.